Thanks to the new Pokemon TCG Pocket trailer released earlier this month, we know that Genetic Apex, the first set coming at launch on October 30th, will consist of 226 cards plus 60 additional immersive cards and full arts. There doesn't appear to be any sort of numbering written on the cards themselves, so you'll have to view them in your binder to know exactly where they fit. Without getting my toes on Pocket, it's hard to know the power levels of cards. But I think it's safe to assume that Pokeball will be the best item card in the game. It's also the only item card in the game we know about so far. According to this blurry image posted on Reddit, it would appear that the effect of Pokeball is put one random basic Pokemon from your deck into your hand. Ball Search has always been a staple of the Pokemon TCG, and Pokeball appears to be a really good one. Since decks in Pocket only have 20 cards in them, finding a random basic seems really strong, especially since it doesn't say EX Pokemon are excluded. Pocket's version of Pokeball differs from Pokeball in the main game, as the other one relies on a coin flip and can get any Pokemon from your deck if it's heads. What we don't know yet is how card limits will work in Pocket. With the main TCG, you can only have a maximum of 4 copies of each card in your deck. Since we're going down to 20 card decks in Pocket, a limit of 2 or 3 seems likely. If it's 2, that does keep ultra powerful cards from sweeping entire games, but it comes at the cost of hurting Stage 2 decks. The problem with the 3 card limit is that you could just pretend you're at a pre-release, play 2 or 3 strong EX Pokemon easily findable with Pokeball, and call it a day. So while we do know some things about Pocket, there's still several game mechanics we need clarified, including how many cards are in our starting hand. Though based on some of the gameplay we've seen, it would appear that 5 is a safe bet. And we also don't know what the collection limit of cards pulled in packs is going to be. Will they be turned into an in-game currency like TCG Live? Or will there be no limit like PTCGO and we just have to trade away our extras? In addition to Pokeball, we know of a few different supporters. Just like the main game, you'll only be able to play one supporter per turn in Pocket. Brock was previously revealed, which takes 1 fighting energy from your energy zone and attaches it to Golem or Onyx, 2 cards that have yet to be revealed. Then there's Erica and Sabrina. Erica's a very straightforward heal 50 damage from one of your grass Pokemon. Seems kinda meh, even in a slower game like Pocket with weaker cards. Sabrina, meanwhile, is half of an escape rope. Play Sabrina, your opponent switches their active Pokemon to the bench and chooses a new active Pokemon. It's the same effect that Pidgeot will have, so Indirect Gust will be a thing in Pocket. We also know that Professor Oak will be a supporter in Genetic Apex, but its effect is yet to be revealed. As mentioned in my last video, it doesn't appear as though tools and stadiums will be a part of TCG Pocket. Neither will fairy types. Dragons do exist in Pocket, and they won't have a weakness. I also wanted to highlight some of the known Pokemon coming in TCG Pocket. After scouring the internet for women in my area who own Lola Bunny costumes, I rewatched both Pocket trailers, as well as a bunch of pack openings from Worlds, and compiled a list of all the cards currently known. A decent amount are just Kingler Cutter, dealing 20 damage for a single energy with 50 to 70 hit points. There are a couple of standouts among them though, including Farfetch'd and Kangaskhan. I apologize in advance for the blurriness on some of the cards, but it's not my fault the Pokemon Company hates us. Anyways, Farfetch'd is a 60 hit point basic that does 40 damage for a single colorless energy. That's two-shotting a lot of things in the game, especially low HP basics and stage 1s, while your opponent is attempting to set up. As for Kangaskhan, I'm making a bold assessment and saying that this will be the best single prize basic at launch. Boasting 100 hit points, Kangaskhan's Dizzy Punch costs a single colorless energy. You flip 2 coins, and for each heads, the attack does 30 damage. I know, coin flips are the devil. But flipping 2 heads on turn 1 going second and dealing 60 damage could really screw up your opponent. Of course, just like when it comes to my YouTube ad revenue, EXs are going to be the gatekeepers of TCG Pocket. One potentially interesting combo is Mewtwo EX with Gardevoir. Assuming my assumption of only being able to manually take 1 energy from the energy zone each turn is correct, Gardevoir could offer a way to steamroll people. Mewtwo EX's Psy Drive does 150 damage for 4 energy at the cost of discarding 2 energy. So get 2 Guardy up and running, and you're one-shotting everything in the game turn after turn. But probably not turn after turn after turn, because you can win a game in Pocket with as little as 2 KOs since it's just 3 prize points. While Rare Candy has yet to be revealed, if it isn't in TCG Pocket, there does appear to be an emphasis placed on Stage 2 Pokemon. Greninja, for instance, has a really interesting effect. Once during your turn, you can do 20 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Depending on the card limit in decks, this could be playable. 3 would be perfect, 2 seems too low. And without knowing how difficult it will be to get Stage 2s into play, I can't really speculate on its competitive potential. What I will say is that it appears damage counters are gone. Greninja's ability is the same as Decky Dewey GX, yet it says damage instead of damage counters. Just another way to simplify pocket battles, I guess. There's plenty of other Pokemon at least worth mentioning. This Psyduck, for instance, does 10 damage and prevents your opponent from playing supporters. With only 20 cards in each deck though, supporters likely won't be as important, especially when we haven't seen a single draw supporter revealed. Lapras also has potential dealing 90 damage for 4 energy or 20 for 1, but if water energy acceleration isn't a thing, Lapras won't be either. Getting back to EX Pokemon, Articuno EX does 80 damage and spreads 10 to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. As a reminder, the bench is limited to 3 Pokemon in Pocket. Still, it could be interesting paired with Greninja. And while it only has 120 hit points, Pikachu EX can deal 90 damage for 2 lightning energy provided you have 3 lightning Pokemon on your bench. 90 seems to be a great number to hit, it's just a matter of hoping your Pikachu survives long enough to get 2 energy on it. If you're worried about energy but still want to hit super hard, pair Moltres EX with Charizard EX. It's kinda crazy that Stage 2 EX Pokemon only have 40 more hit points than basic EXs, but Moltres can use its first attack to power up the Charizard line, allowing you to eventually deal 200 damage for 4 energy. With 180 hit points appearing to be the cap in Genetic Apex and resistance not existing, you're KOing everything in the game with Crimson Storm. For the final 2 cards worth mentioning, there's Primeape and Lickitung. If Primeape survives a hit, it's dealing 100 damage for 2 fighting energy, though only having 90 hit points is a bit concerning. And if you like coin flips, Lickitung can deal infinite damage for 3 colorless energy, provided you only ever flip heads. And if you want to pause the video and zoom in, here's some other cards I found in my travels, including Raichu, Pinkerchin, and Hitmonlee. After all this work, I believe I've documented every known card in Pokemon TCG Pocket so far. Some haven't been officially revealed yet, like Charmander and Charmeleon, but they have to exist because we know about the rest of the evolution line. I refrain from going in the opposite direction and including Pokemon like Kadabra and Alakazam, even though we know Abra's in Genetic Apex. As you can see from the list, a lot of the original 151 Pokemon are included in Genetic Apex, so expect them to make up the bulk of the 226 main cards. Something I've talked about on stream before is the advantage Pocket provides the competitive battling space. Unlike the main TCG where cards are set in stone once they're printed, Pocket can change cards if they're too strong or too weak, like what we've seen with other digital-only TCGs. So let's say Articuno EX dominates the meta. The Pokemon Company can nerf the attack whenever they want, balancing out the game. Same with Erica. If healing 50 is too weak, they can bump it to 60 or 70 to try and make it more playable. Whether or not they actually do this remains to be seen, but they aren't beholden to a physical card game like TCG Live is, meaning anything can be changed at any point for the health of the game. Which cards do you think will be the strongest in TCG Pocket? Let everyone know in the comments.